Everyone loves a good urban legend, or at least I do. The term urban legend first appeared in print in around the 1960s. But of course, they date way back before then. Back in the day when people didn't have access to the internet, these legends were shared by word of mouth or by letters in the mail. Well, times have certainly changed, but these urban legends still remain pretty creepy. Hey everyone, what's up and welcome back to Top 5. I'm your host, Lindsay Ivan, and today I'm bringing you the top 5 scary urban legends from Russia. Starting off this countdown, we have the corpse collector. Legend has it that a mysterious, deadly person roams around Russia. This person is out stalking individuals to kidnap. After successfully kidnapping them, he will kill them, preserve them, and then display their mummified bodies. As a result, people in Russia were scared to roam the streets at night alone with fear of running into the corpse collector. Now, what's even more terrifying is that in 2011, this urban legend came to life. A man named Anatoly Moskvin was arrested for grave robbing. He would dig up the bodies of females, mummify them, dress them up as dolls, and display them in his home. The dolls were found seated on shelves, sofas, or chairs all throughout his home. Apparently, their faces and limbs were covered in cloth, so you couldn't tell that they were composed of real humans. In fact, his home was shared with his parents, and they were completely oblivious. They just thought that the corpses were large dolls that he created. Quite creepy. Who knows if he was inspired by the corpse collector legend, or if the real corpse collector is still out there somewhere. And at number 4, we have the buzzer. Those of you who are well versed in Russian urban legends have probably heard of this one. So there's a Russian radio station that has been broadcasting a buzz since the 1970s. As a result, this radio station was nicknamed the Buzzer. It said that every few months, the buzzing is interrupted with a voice saying UVB76 and then a series of random numbers and words. Then the buzzing continues. No one knows what this means, but there are several theories out there. Legend goes that it's a military communication system, or a dead man's switch system in case of a nuclear strike. Maybe the radio station contains a bunch of coded messages for Russian spies. Or maybe it is a dead man's switch system that can launch a counter-strike in times of nuclear war. Who knows? But it's still a very creepy mystery and urban legend. In our third spot, we have the Black Bird of Chernobyl. In 1986 in Ukraine, an accident in the Chernobyl nuclear power plant caused the reactor to explode. This explosion had lasting effects, and to this day it's still considered the worst nuclear disaster. Well, according to some survivors of this incident, they claim that shortly before the nuclear plant meltdown, they all experienced nightmares, received threatening phone calls, and had encountered a huge winged bird creature. Legend goes that these were all warning signs that the disaster was going to happen. So the bird was described as a large creature like man with huge wings and red eyes. Some even claim that they saw it over one of the reactors as it went through the meltdown. People then drew the connection between this beast and the Mothman of West Virginia. The Mothman apparently showed up right before the Silver Bridge collapsed in 1967. So legend goes that if you see these creatures, then something bad is going to happen. So if you ever do encounter this bird creature, maybe go home and lock yourself inside. Who knows what tragedy will follow. Moving on at number 2, we have the Russian sleep experiment. This started off as a creepypasta, but now some people are convinced that it is in fact a true story. Legend goes that in the 1940s, Russian researchers were conducting unethical tests on enemy prisoners. They captured 5 enemies that they planned to keep awake for 30 days using a gas-based stimulant. They wanted to see the effects that sleep deprivation had on the brain. As a result, they were sealed into a chamber with a promise that if they cooperated, then they would be freed afterwards. For the first 5 days, everything went fine. After these 5 days, that's when it took a dark twist. Eventually, one of the prisoners screamed until he shredded his vocal cords. As each day passed, more terrifying stuff started to happen. When they decided to open the chamber to check on them, they were horrified. The floor was covered in blood and one of the prisoners was dead with some of his flesh scattered throughout the chamber. The other 4 test subjects also had parts of their body torn off, but this wasn't from attacking each other. In fact, it was all self-inflicted. Even some of them had exposed bones and deep wounds. They were then going to be given medical attention, but all the prisoners said that they no longer wanted to be freed. They all kept saying that they just needed the gas that kept them awake. One eventually fell asleep and immediately flatlined. Two of the other prisoners passed away also. The remaining one went on a rampage. These prisoners that everyone saw was apparently the evil inside the human mind that is kept sane by sleeping. Since they hadn't been sleeping, it unleashed this evil. So yeah, definitely make sure to get at least 6 hours of sleep every night just to be safe. And in our number 1 spot, we have the Curse of the Ivan Vishly. The Ivan Vishly was a ship built around 1897 as a civilian steam freighter for transporting freight across the Baltic Sea. But as war broke out, the ship was repurposed into a military supply ship for the Russian Navy. Now, no one knows what went wrong, but the crew on board all started to feel like they were being watched. They would hear eerie footsteps and would be hit with random cold bursts. They could just feel that something was starting to go wrong. Then, according to the legend, one night all the crew members suddenly went berserk and started fighting each other for no reason. One crew member even jumped overboard and took his own life. There was like a cloud of negativity hanging over the ship. A few days later, another crew member also jumped overboard. But that's not all. Apparently one of the crew members also spotted a ghostly figure appear from a glowing mist, and it just glided across the ship's deck. As a result of all the odd things that kept occurring while aboard this ship, when they reached land, over a dozen men fled the ship. Some were so scared that they even jumped from the ship and swam to shore. Those that remained on board would continue to witness odd things, and more men would jump overboard. It's said that some sort of evil force had possessed the ship. As a result, the ship was burned down, but to this day, we don't know what truly happened aboard this ship. And that's all for today's video. Let's move on to our comment shoutout portion. I'll be shouting out comments for my video, Top 5 Scary Conjuring Verse Theories. Liam Evans commented, "You back at the studio?" I am back at the studio. Gotta practice physical distancing though, gotta stay safe, but still gonna deliver all that spooky content for you. Jay Ant commented, "Yes, Lindsay, the prettiest presenter, returned. An all good versus evil team up would be silly but funny to watch. Shame the last Conjuring spin-offs were kinda crap though." First off, aw, thank you. Secondly, I know, I feel like it would be kinda cheesy to watch. And lastly, I know, okay, they weren't that bad, but they weren't the best, and it's because they changed directors. I don't know why they had to do that. Top 5 Creepies commented, "Lindsay, will you take my hand in marriage?" Oh, my first marriage proposal. You know, I'm flattered, I really am, but it's not my time to get married, or else, you know, I totally would. And that's all the comments I'm showing out for today's video. Make sure to comment something down below for a chance to be featured in my next comment shoutout. And as always, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to Top 5 for some more spooky videos. I've been your host, Lindsay Ivan, and I'll catch you all later.